when Beatrice Walsh answered her phone at 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. The last thing she expected was a call from Riverside Funeral Home confirming the arrangements for her memorial service. "Mrs. Walsh, we just wanted to verify the details for your viewing on Thursday at 2 p.m. and the burial on Friday at Greenwood Cemetery." Beatrice was 70 years old, perfectly healthy, and very much alive. But according to the funeral home, someone had already paid for her complete funeral package, selected her casket, chosen her burial plot, and scheduled everything for 3 days from now. Someone had planned Beatrice's death down to the last detail, and they were expecting her to be dead by Wednesday night. Stay until the end, because what Beatrice discovered about who made those arrangements will reveal a conspiracy that goes far deeper than just one funeral. Beatrice Walsh stood in her kitchen, phone pressed to her ear, wondering if she'd misheard. "I'm sorry, could you repeat that?" The woman on the phone spoke patiently, professionally. "Mrs. Walsh, this is Sandra from Riverside Funeral Home. I'm calling to confirm the arrangements that were made for your service. We have you scheduled for a viewing on Thursday, November 16th at 2 p.m., followed by burial at Greenwood Cemetery on Friday the 17th at 10 a.m. The caller requested our Eternal Peace package with the mahogany casket and paid the full amount in advance. I just wanted to verify these details are correct." Beatrice felt her legs go weak. She sat down at her kitchen table. "There must be some mistake. I'm Beatrice Walsh, and I'm not dead." A pause on the other end. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't understand. Are you a family member calling on behalf of—" "I'm the Beatrice Walsh. I'm 70 years old. I live at 428 Maple Drive, and I'm very much alive. Who called to arrange my funeral?" Sandra's voice changed, became uncertain. "Ma'am, this is highly unusual. Let me pull up the account. The arrangements were made yesterday afternoon by someone identifying themselves as your daughter, Patricia Walsh. She provided your full name, date of birth, social security number, and made full payment of $12,400 by wire transfer." Beatrice's blood ran cold. She had a daughter named Patricia, but Patricia lived in Seattle, and they'd spoken just 2 days ago. Patricia was fine. Everything was fine. Why would someone pretend to be Patricia and arrange her mother's funeral while she was still alive? Imagine receiving a call confirming arrangements for your own funeral. Subscribe right now to follow Beatrice's terrifying investigation. Hit that bell so you don't miss what she discovers. "Sandra, this is fraud. Someone is impersonating my daughter. I need you to cancel everything immediately and tell me exactly what information was provided." Sandra sounded shaken. "Ma'am, I'm going to transfer you to our director, Mr. Harrison. Please hold." Beatrice waited, her mind racing. This wasn't a prank. Someone had gone to elaborate lengths, provided her personal information, paid over $12,000, scheduled specific dates. This was planned. This was intentional. Mr. Harrison came on the line. "Mrs. Walsh, I apologize for this disturbing situation. I've reviewed the account, and I need to inform you that in addition to the funeral arrangements, the caller also requested expedited death certificate processing and provided us with contact information for your life insurance company. They seem to have very detailed knowledge of your affairs." "My life insurance?" Beatrice felt sick. "How much are my policies worth?" The caller mentioned a combined value of approximately $850,000. Beatrice hung up and immediately called her daughter. Patricia answered on the second ring. "Mom, hey, how are you?" "Patricia, did you call the funeral home yesterday to arrange my funeral?" "What? No! Mom, what are you talking about?" Beatrice explained everything. Patricia was horrified, confused, and just as scared as her mother. "Mom, someone's trying to kill you. You need to call the police right now." Beatrice called 911. Within an hour, 2 detectives were sitting in her living room, Detective Raymond Carter and Detective Lisa Mendoza. They listened carefully as Beatrice explained the funeral home call. "Mrs. Walsh, this is a new type of elder fraud we've been seeing," Detective Carter said. "Criminals identify elderly people with substantial assets, plan their deaths in advance, and position themselves to collect life insurance and inheritance. But this is the first time we've seen someone actually schedule a funeral before the death occurs. That's bold. That's confident." "Confident that I'll be dead by Wednesday?" Beatrice asked, her voice shaking. "Yes," Detective Mendoza said bluntly. "Whoever is doing this has a timeline. The funeral is Thursday. That means they're planning something for Wednesday at the latest." The detectives immediately began investigating. They traced the wire transfer used to pay the funeral home. It came from an account registered to a shell company. They contacted the funeral home for recordings of the phone call. The voice was female, but clearly disguised with a modulator. They pulled Beatrice's life insurance policies and checked who the beneficiaries were. That's when they found the first problem. Beatrice's primary life insurance policy, worth $600,000, had its beneficiary changed 3 months ago. It no longer listed Patricia. It now listed someone named Sarah Walsh, claiming to be Beatrice's estranged daughter from a previous marriage. But Beatrice had never been married before her late husband. She'd never had another daughter. Sarah Walsh didn't exist. Someone has been planning Beatrice's death for months, changing beneficiaries, preparing to collect. Type "investigate" in the comments if you think she can expose them before Wednesday. The police investigated Sarah Walsh. She had a driver's license, a bank account, employment records, all created within the past 6 months. Someone had constructed an entire false identity and inserted Sarah Walsh into Beatrice's life on paper without Beatrice ever knowing. Detective Carter showed Beatrice a DMV photo of Sarah Walsh. The woman looked vaguely like Patricia. Similar age, similar features, enough that a casual observer might believe they were sisters. "Do you recognize this woman?" Detective Carter asked. Beatrice stared at the photo and felt recognition click. "That's Nancy Holbrook. She was my home health aide 2 years ago when I had knee surgery. She was in my house every day for 6 weeks. She had access to everything. My documents, my computer, my personal information." The detectives ran a background check on Nancy Holbrook. She had a criminal record, identity theft, insurance fraud, elder exploitation. She'd served 3 years in prison and been released 18 months ago. And according to her employment records, she was currently working as a financial consultant for a senior care placement agency. The police brought Nancy in for questioning. She denied everything at first, but when confronted with the evidence, the fake identity, the beneficiary change, the funeral arrangements, she broke. Nancy confessed to everything. She'd targeted Beatrice specifically because she was a widow with no close family nearby, substantial assets, and a trusting nature. Over the 6 weeks Nancy had worked as her health aide, she'd copied every important document, photographed her passwords, and gathered all the information needed to steal her identity. After leaving Beatrice's employment, Nancy had spent months creating the false identity of Sarah Walsh, slowly changing beneficiaries on insurance policies, positioning herself to collect when Beatrice died. The plan was to make Beatrice's death look natural: an accidental overdose of her heart medication, a fall down the stairs, a gas leak, something that wouldn't trigger suspicion. The funeral arrangements were made in advance because Nancy was confident about her timeline. She'd already broken into Beatrice's house 3 times while Beatrice was out, installing a faulty carbon monoxide detector and tampering with her gas furnace. Wednesday night, when Beatrice went to sleep, the furnace would malfunction. Carbon monoxide would fill her bedroom, and she'd die peacefully in her sleep. Natural causes, no investigation. And Sarah Walsh would collect $850,000 in life insurance. But Nancy had made one fatal mistake. She'd called the funeral home too early. She'd been so confident in her plan that she'd confirmed arrangements before Beatrice was actually dead, and that call had exposed everything. Nancy was charged with attempted murder, identity theft, insurance fraud, elder exploitation, and conspiracy. The evidence was overwhelming. She was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. The investigation expanded beyond Nancy. The senior care placement agency she worked for was a front for an elder exploitation ring. They'd identified dozens of vulnerable seniors across 3 states, gathering information through legitimate health aid and financial consulting services, then systematically planning their deaths to collect insurance and inheritance. 15 people were arrested in the expanded investigation. The FBI estimated the ring had successfully collected over $6 million from 12 elderly victims who died under natural circumstances in the past 3 years. Beatrice testified at Nancy's trial and at the trials of the other ring members. She spoke about the violation of trust, the horror of receiving that funeral home call, the knowledge that someone she'd invited into her home had been planning her death from the very beginning. But Beatrice also spoke about survival, about trusting her instincts, about the importance of questioning anything that doesn't seem right, even a phone call about funeral arrangements. Beatrice is 72 now. She still lives in her house on Maple Drive, but she's made changes. She has a comprehensive security system. She thoroughly vets anyone who enters her home. She keeps her financial information secure and checks her insurance beneficiaries quarterly. And she started a non-profit that educates elderly people about the warning signs of elder exploitation and identity theft. She never did change those funeral arrangements. Instead, she had Riverside Funeral Home donate the $12,400 Nancy paid to her nonprofit. Nancy's own money now funds the education that prevents others from becoming victims. And every November 16th, the day that was supposed to be her viewing, Beatrice throws a party. She calls it her Still Here celebration, and invites all the elderly people in her community to celebrate being alive, being vigilant, and being stronger than the people who tried to exploit them. Beatrice received a call that should have terrified her into helplessness, but instead turned it into action that saved lives. If this story inspired you, leave a like and share it with elderly people in your life who need this warning. Click the video on your screen now for another story of survival and justice. See you next time.